Dark night. The highway was deserted when Emily drove into the outskirts of Ravenwood. Her car's headlights cut through the fog, but the air itself felt heavy, as if the night was watching her. The fuel gauge was dropping to empty, and she cursed under her breath. A small wooden sign appeared by the side of the road. Ravenwood Inn, 2 miles. Relieved, Emily drove toward it. The inn stood like a shadow on the edge of the forest, its windows dark, except for a single lamp glowing in the lobby. She parked, grabbed her bag, and stepped inside. Behind the counter stood a tall, gaunt man with pale skin. His name tag read Thomas. "You shouldn't be out on a night like this," he said in a voice that carried no warmth. "I didn't have a choice," Emily replied, forcing a smile. "Car's out of gas." Thomas handed her an old-fashioned key. "Room 6, keep the lights on, and no matter what you hear, don't open the door." Emily frowned at the strange warning, but exhaustion pushed away her curiosity. She climbed the creaking stairs, unlocked room 6, and stepped inside. The room smelled of dust and something faintly metallic. She switched on the lamp, its yellow glow chasing the shadows into the corners. She lay down on the bed, but sleep didn't come easily. Around midnight, she heard it, a whisper. At first, it was faint, like the rustling of fabric, but soon it grew clearer. "Emily?" Her blood turned cold. She sat up, heart pounding. "Who's there?" she called out, but only silence answered. She tried to convince herself it was her imagination, but then the whisper came again, louder this time, right outside the door. "Emily, open the door." Her throat tightened. She remembered Thomas's warning, "Don't open the door." She clutched the blanket around her, staring at the knob. Slowly, it began to rattle, as though invisible hands were twisting it. Emily backed away, pressing against the wall. The whispers turned into scratching, long nails dragging against the wood. Then suddenly the sound stopped. The silence was worse. Cautiously, Emily reached for her phone, but there was no signal. She glanced at the mirror hanging above the dresser and froze. In the reflection, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a woman. Her skin was ashen, her eyes black hollows, and her smile stretched too wide to be human. Emily spun around, but the room was empty. She looked back at the mirror. The woman was closer. Panic surged through her. She ran to the door, but when she touched the knob, it burned her palm as if it were red hot. She screamed and staggered back. The mirror now showed the woman standing inches away, her mouth moving. Emily strained to hear. Dark. Night. The lamp flickered violently, shadows crawling along the walls. Emily grabbed her bag and tried the window, but when she pulled the curtains aside, there was no outside, only endless blackness pressing against the glass. She stumbled back toward the bed, and the mattress sank as though someone invisible had sat down. She felt cold breath against her neck. She whirled around. Nothing. But when she looked at the bed again, she saw the sheets depress as though unseen hands were crawling toward her. The whispers rose again, a chorus of voices now. "Emily, join us." "Dark night." She screamed, bolted for the hallway, and flung the door open despite Thomas's warning. The corridor stretched endlessly, far longer than it had been before. The walls seemed to close in, the lights buzzing and flickering. At the far end, a figure stood, tall, faceless, arms hanging unnaturally long. Emily ran the other way, but the corridor twisted and turned into itself. Every door she tried was locked. Behind her, the whispers grew louder, the faceless figure's footsteps echoing closer. She finally burst into the lobby, panting. Thomas was there, waiting. But his face was different now, paler, hollow-eyed, with a cruel smile. "I told you not to open the door," he said. His voice echoed unnaturally, as though others were speaking with him. "Now the dark night owns you." The windows shattered, black mist pouring into the room. Hands formed out of the darkness, clawing at Emily, dragging her down into the floor. She screamed, reaching for the counter, but Thomas only watched with dead eyes as the shadows consumed her. The next morning, the inn stood silent again. Room 6 was empty, except for Emily's bag and her phone lying on the bed. On the phone screen was a new photo in the gallery, Emily's terrified face, taken in the dark, with a shadowy figure behind her. Travelers still pass Ravenwood Inn on lonely nights. Some say they hear whispers calling their name when they get too close. Others vanish without a trace, leaving behind only their belongings and a final picture on their phones. And if you ever find yourself driving through Ravenwood, be careful. If the night feels too quiet, if the air feels too heavy, Don't stop at the end, because once you hear the whisper, once you see the shadow in the mirror, there is no escape. The dark night will claim you.